My father, who was one of the biggest comic book dealers through the 80s and 90s, always told me that comic books were recession proof, and I never quite understood what that meant. My dad went through multiple recessions through his comic book dealing career, but I only started in 2009, so I was at the tail end of our last recession, which was obviously the '08 crash. And I started in the later half of 2009, so I didn't get to see the go up and then come back down. I kind of already started at the bottom. But now it's happening again. A recession is here. And I'm gonna show you in this video how comic books are recession proof and don't lose their value like traditional investments such as maybe stocks or real estate. Over a decade ago, we went through one of the worst recessions of modern times, the 2008 crash. Maybe some of you remember it. I mean, many people were out of work, homes being foreclosed on pretty much every single corner, and the stock market was just pretty much in the toilet. Now, I'm not gonna go into detail in this video of how or why the crash happens. There's way smarter people than me that talk about this on YouTube, and you can just watch their videos for it. But I will tell you this, on October 9th, 2007, the Dow Jones hit a record high of 14,164 points. Also, the national average sale price of a house hit an all-time high in Q1 of 2007 at $322,100. But soon after that, the stock and housing market just completely fell apart. The entire length of the crash only lasted a year and a half, which actually is the average length of a recession. Starting at its high, October 9th, 2007, the stock market fell by 54%, all the way from 14,164 to 6,594 on March 5th of 2009. So here's a list of some blue chip stocks and how much they each fell by during this time period. As you can see, most fell by either 30 to almost 60%. Amazon went from its peak at $93 to $68, down 27%. Apple went from $5 to $3, down 47%. Ford was down 68%. Exxon Mobil down 28%. Disney down 52%. Coca-Cola down 30%. And the S&P 500 is down 57%. The national sale price of a house went down 20% in Q1 of 2007 of $322,000 all the way down to $257,000 in Q1 of 2009. But in some areas, they got hit much harder. Like in LA, they had an average price drop of 35% in that same time frame. So as you can see, the housing market was down. Stocks were down by a lot. Let's see if my dad was right. And let's see during that same time period if comic books also went down. All right, during the same time period, an Action Comics #1 in a 1/8 CGC grade in 2007 sold for $57,000. And then in 2009, it sold for $94,000, up 64%. And then in 2010, sold for $116,000, up 103% from its 2007 numbers. That comic today is worth $1 million, meaning it's up 1,600% from its 2007 numbers. We got also a Batman #1 in a 5.0 in 2006, sold for $27,000. In 2008, sold for $37,000, up 37%. In 2009, sold for $46,000, up 71% from its 2006 number. And then today, it's probably worth $400,000. That's up 1,300%. Now, some of those older golden age, there's not that many sales, and these were like the only ones in those grade ranges. But what about something that's a little more common that has lots of sales data, pretty much multiples in the same grade range in the same year? We got a Fantasy 15 in a 7.0. In 2006, it averaged $11,000. In 2007, it averaged $12,250, up 10%. And then in 2008, averaged $31,576, up 184%. And in 2009, it averaged $29,350, up 164%. Today, that comic is worth $222,000, and that is up 1,900%. A Hulk 181 in a 9.4 in 2006 averaged $2,270. In 2007, averaged $2,757. That is up 21%. 2008 averaged $2,792, up 23%, so not too much there. 2009, it was up to $2,815, up 24% from its 2006 numbers. Today, that comic's worth about $17,000, up 650%. A much more common book, A New Mutants '98, In a CGC 9.8 in 2006, that thing sold for $109 on average. In 2007, it averaged $136, up 25%. In 2008, it was up to $235, up 116%. And then 2009, it averaged $253, is up 132%. Today, that book is worth $1,800, up 495%. As you can see, as everything else was going down 30, 40, 50%, comics didn't go down at all. In fact, they went up, breaking new records year after year while everything else was going down. Now in this example, I used blue chip comics, which are the same thing as blue chip stocks, which are well-established, nationally recognized, financially sound investments. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to all comics. There's lots of comics that lost money during this time, just like there's actually stocks that went up during the crash, like Walmart. But in general, as everything was going down in the stock market, the comic book market was actually going up. Comic books are much more stable, not so emotional like the stock market and the housing market. They're also not tied to any one company or government that can screw everything up. But this recession is much different than the one in 08. Before that crash, we didn't have a massive influx of money from like stimulus checks or historic low interest rates, so people pretty much borrowed money for next to nothing. So last year around this time, we saw a massive collectible boom where things were going for insane prices. But since around October, that insane hype kind of cooled off a little bit, and collectibles have been dropping mostly ever since, but they've kind of leveled off around now, and even some have slowly kind of come back up. So in short, if you have investable comics, you don't need to worry about the recession hurting its value. Even now, as the stock market pretty much plummets and the housing market is kind of cooling off, we still see comics hitting record prices, like insane high prices. A Superman 8.0, not even Superman's first appearance, or not even the single highest grade, sold for a record price of $5.3 million in April of 2022. But does that mean all comics are safe? No, not really. There's gonna be lots of comics that are actually gonna still go down in value. A lot of those were due to speculation or hype, but the tried and true, like blue chip comics, they're gonna stay stable or probably even go up during this time. But just remember that in the end, the recession only lasted 1.5 years last time, and that's pretty much the average of how long recessions last. And in the end, it only took 4 years for the stock market from its bottom to hit new record highs. And those blue chip stocks that I talked about before, well, it only took about 6 months, maybe a year for them from their bottom to hit a new record high. So it wasn't even that long. The housing market took a little longer. From its bottom took about 9 years to recover to hitting new record highs. And in some areas like LA and things like that, it took only about 7 years. So my final advice, just relax. Don't do anything out of emotion. We're on the roller coaster right now. Might be at the lows, but soon we'll be right back at the highs. It won't take very long. I'm David from Comic Book Investments. Have a great day.